We got some interesting news in the AI market today, dealing with companies like Oracle, OpenAI, Intel, NVIDIA, and the list goes on and on. If you are an AI or semiconductor investor, you're not going to want to miss today's episode. So let's get started.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so first, let's kind of start off with the first big news. And I think this is very bullish for a lot of semiconductor companies. If you are an investor of obviously NVIDIA, this is a big win. But I do believe it can also be bullish for a company like AMD and obviously anybody else in the semiconductor space. So we did see earlier today that Oracle and OpenAI expand their Stargate deal for more US data centers. And for those that are not familiar with Stargate, let's just Google Stargate right now. Stargate is this massive AI investment, AI infrastructure project happening here in the United States and also happening in other parts of the world. The main reason project is happening is OpenAI just needs more compute. And unfortunately, Microsoft can't fuel OpenAI's needs. So it has partnered up with other companies like SoftBank and Oracle to help build more and more AI infrastructure. So the Stargate project was announced in 2025. Well, the recent updates have mentioned that OpenAI signs a $30 billion data center deal with Oracle. The main information here is OpenAI has agreed to lease 4.5 gigawatts of computing power from Oracle in a deal worth around $30 billion a year. That is one of the largest cloud agreements to date for artificial intelligence. Oracle will develop multiple data centers across the United States in order to satisfy the new Stargate contract, according to people close to the plans, which were first reported by Bloomberg. That roughly 4.5 gigawatts would be equivalent to about a quarter of the US current operational data center capacity. That alone is insane. And they kind of talk about earlier this week, and if we kind of, there was an SEC filing. If we kind of go to fiscal.ai really quick, make sure to check out fiscal.ai/Jose for pretty cool offer. But if you jump here to filing, we can see on June 30th, they did have an 8K report. And if we look at the filing itself, we can see that the CEO of Oracle plans to meet with Oracle colleagues later today. She will say Oracle is off to a strong start in fiscal year of 2026, and their overall database cloud revenue continues to grow at over 100%. And they signed multiple large cloud service agreements, including one that is expected to contribute more than $30 billion in annual revenue starting in fiscal year of 2028. So we already knew this, right? We talked about this in this channel. Now it does seem like we got the confirmation, at least the confirmation based on reports, that Stargate is going to be that big customer. And if you have been following this channel, if you have been watching my streams, you would know that I have always believed it was a Stargate. I just didn't know if it was a Stargate US or a Stargate International. Now that I know it's a Stargate US, it seems that the main reason that this is coming pretty new is because there is an expansion to the Stargate project. And 4.5 gigawatts is insane, right? NVIDIA has talked about in the past that for each gigawatt, it's about a $40 to $50 billion revenue for them. So times that by four, I mean, that's a lot, four and a half, right? That's a lot of just revenue coming from this one customer. And to my belief, if Oracle and OpenAI are thinking about investing this much money in just the next few years, can you imagine every other AI company, every other hyperscaler? So it does kind of give this bullish sentiment for the AI space. The reason I mentioned this is also bullish for companies like AMD is AMD does have a great partnership with Oracle, and they do have kind of, it seems like a strategic partnership with OpenAI as well. I would always say, at the moment, at least right now, that a good portion of this revenue would most likely go to NVIDIA, but there is some market share here for AMD as well. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is there was an interview a few days ago that I just listened to today. So here at Matthew Berman's channel, who focuses, it seems, a lot on AI, generative AI, had Dylan Patel, the lead analyst of semi-analysis. I do believe semi-analysis is probably one of the best platforms out there that provides some pretty cool solutions. And anytime I see Dylan Patel do an interview, I definitely pay attention. There are some key points I definitely would recommend kind of listening to it if you have the time. But let me just give you some of the quick notes that I got from this. So the first thing is that Meta is racing for AGI, and we kind of saw that with the overall investments that Meta has been doing recently. The main reason is they believe maybe AGI is closer than a lot of people think. OpenAI needs more compute, and it kind of solidifies a little bit with the Oracle news. Apple is sleeping on AI, something we've known about. The other two things were also pretty interesting. Lepton, which I've talked about in this channel, maybe I'll cover a little bit more, but Lepton is this Uber of AI that NVIDIA kind of announced during GTC Paris about a month ago. And they called it the Uber of AI compute. And during this interview, that's probably my favorite segment. I would definitely recommend looking at it. Dylan believes that this is creating a massive competitive pressure with all these AI cloud companies. And if you have this massive competitive pressure, it does create a lot more pricing power, a lot more pricing competitive pressure, not pricing power, pricing competitive pressure. So in theory, in the long term of things, Dylan, very similar to what I've talked about in the past, Cloud Lepton could be seen as bearish for companies like CoreWeave, like companies like Nebius, like any other cloud server provider, especially some of those startups, right? Because it does eliminate some of the gain potentials. Because what Lepton does is, with all these cloud server providers, it doesn't matter if you have some form of software stack solution, it rents out kind of that bare metal from them, even if you provide some form of software solution, and then Cloud Lepton provides the software solution. So even if you had something already, you would kind of be brought down to a bare metal, and you would be making more competitive. The pricing would be a lot more competitive, and it would fight against kind of margins and stuff like that. So that is, I definitely would recommend watching that and kind of just getting some insight there. The final thing is that Dylan does believe OpenAI wins the AI race in the race of AGI. And I mean, to me, I use OpenAI on a daily basis, literally multiple times a day. And I can see that, right? I do believe OpenAI is cooking pretty good here. And if you haven't done so, make sure to hit the thumbs up, make sure to hit the subscribe button. If you're learning a lot about the AI market, this is going to be the best place you're going to get it for free. And I'm trying to hit 75,000 subs by the end of the year. Hopefully, you can help me get there. The next company I want to take a closer look at is Intel. Intel is down about 4% on the day. So yesterday, I kind of talked about it, and there is obviously the big, beautiful bill, which could be a bit bullish for Intel. I talked about it in my newsletter, whatthechip.happened.com. But another thing that I talked about there is there are reports that Intel is actually sidelining its 18A manufacturing push, right? 18A was expected to be this big win for Intel, and it's expected to push now into the 14A as that goes more mainstream. So the overall market is here, and we did see Reuters on July 1st kind of talk about it, that Intel may stop quoting its once flagship 18A process for new external customers, steering future design wins toward the forthcoming 14A. Now, this is pretty interesting. I don't know how the market is going to react to this, maybe in the upcoming quarters and earnings, because 18A was that it product for Intel, right? It was the product that was going to change things around. But with things innovating the way it is, and even more recently in Direct Connect, which happened in February or late February or April, I forget the actual month of 2025, they could kind of signal already that 18A was going to be more of like an internal product, and that there was going to be kind of like an 18AP, which is going to be focused more on kind of the hyperscalers due to a lot of the solutions that they included in it. But it does seem like maybe the market is just waking up. Again, I am more curious to see how the market kind of reacts to this, maybe in the upcoming earnings. But yeah, a lot of great information here at whatthechip.happened.com. Now, next, I kind of want to jump here to NVIDIA. So NVIDIA, my number one stock in my overall portfolio, had a great day, 2.5% up. There are a lot of things. First, I talked about the DGX Cloud Lepton, which Dylan kind of talked about, and why he believes it's bearish and creates a lot more competitive in the cloud space. The thing is funny, right? Because all these cloud players like your Microsoft, like your Amazon, and your Google Cloud, they're trying to compete against NVIDIA by making their own AI chip and reducing their dependency. So NVIDIA kind of fights back a little bit and saying, look, you want to do that as well? Well, I'll try to make not a competitive, but a way for me to reduce my dependency on you and build up all these other AI companies like CoreWeave, like Nebulous, to try to eliminate that. And then they kind of create this Uber. So it definitely is, in my opinion, a quick, maybe not a quick shot or a dig, but it's just showcasing if you're willing to kind of go against me by building these ASIC solutions, I rightfully so need to make sure that I'm not truly dependent on just you guys, the big players. Now, the other thing that I found pretty interesting is NVIDIA's newsroom, which is their X account, retweeted or posted this. Here's to our ongoing collaboration with OpenAI as we continue to shape the future of AI together. So OpenAI mentions it has no plans to use Google's in-house chip. I just thought it was really weird for NVIDIA's newsroom to post this. I wonder if they got whiff of this and they told OpenAI, hey, look, you have to make sure the information is straight and you're not using these Google's TPUs, and you have to let the market know, or unless Daddy Jensen is not going to give you enough AI chips, and OpenAI agreed to it, right? So I just thought it was weird. I don't know if it was like a power move. I just don't know why Nvidia needed to post this. I guess it's just to a confirmation to investors that there's nothing to worry about here. But yeah, I just wanted to showcase that because that was a little bit interesting. Now, another thing I want to showcase is NVIDIA on July 1st to talk about how AI factories can help relieve grid stress. I'm pretty sure I butchered all three times in my mind. They were all sounded different, but I'm pretty sure they all sounded the same to you in your ears. But NVIDIA mentions that there's this startup based in Washington, D.C., Emerald AI, that is creating this AI solution that could enable next generation of data centers to come online sooner by tapping existing energy resources in a more flexible and strategic way. And this is the way of innovation, right? When you see some hurdles, some bottlenecks, the market finds a way to try to improve it. And that's what Emerald AI is trying to do. What I thought was more impressive here is they talk a little bit about the technology. They even go throughout the presentation and explain how it could be useful. But this is a member of NVIDIA's Inception program for startups and an venture portfolio company. So NVIDIA does own a portion of this company. So it does showcase how NVIDIA continues to invest in the AI market and anybody that's helping them kind of grow in this space. Now, the next company I want to take a closer look at is Microsoft. Microsoft had a pretty much a flattish day, but we can see that Microsoft did have reports that they are scaling back on their AI chip plans. Based on this tweet and kind of the information, it does showcases that Microsoft has seen some delays on some of the AI chips that they were planning to build, and they have pushed it out for a very long time. So I did have ChatGPT kind of give me a little bit more. Obviously, I know about the Maya 100. We've heard about that in late 2023, and we know that they were going to continue to upgrade that over time. But developing chips is hard, right? Jensen has talked about it and mentions that things are going to be hard and you're going to try to build it. But if you're not building something better than NVIDIA's products, if you're not building something at a quick pace or you can scale as quickly, then you're going to have a bad time and you're just going to be spending money on research and development. It does seem like that's the case here. And more than likely, Microsoft is now going to continue to invest a lot more on AI chips from NVIDIA and obviously potentially AMD. But there's not many players that can build ASIC solutions. And within those that can, they're not always going to be successful, right? Based on reports here from ChatGPT 03, we can see that the Maya 300 is expected to come out plus 2028, right? So beyond 2028. NVIDIA will have some crazy solutions by then. So you have to make sure you not only are successful in building something, but successfully in becoming somewhat competitive. Like I mentioned, I do believe this can also be bullish for a company like AMD, as they do provide a nice amount of AI chips for Microsoft. Now, the next two things aren't really company related, but I think it's just pretty cool for the AI market. So Perplexity in AI introduced Perplexity Max, their most valuable subscription tier yet. It is their most valuable subscription. because you get a lot of unlimited lab queries and everything, but it's also their most expensive. Right now, this one is $200 a month. I'm already paying a few $100s a month on AI. I don't think I'm going to get this one, but it does showcase that, hey, look, these companies are need more money so they can build more compute and they build more capacity. And I do believe at the end, eventually AI is going to get cheaper. So these should start to get cheaper and cheaper over time. But if they are releasing something like this, it's because they are seeing the demand and they are seeing some form of customer wanting this type of product. The final thing is there was a post here about VO3 and someone mentioned, let me play a video game of my VO3 videos already. Google Cooks so far, and some of the Google DeepMind co-founders and CEO, we can see Demis right here, said, "Now that wouldn't that be something?" Kind of initiating, no, intuiting, I just made up a word there, but kind of giving you the sense that, and I'm keeping all that nonsense in this video, because this is the best place you're gonna get random fake words trying to explain what's happening. But regardless, it's trying to showcase or guide that that is something that's coming. And to be able to create a video and then create a video game out of it and be able to control a character or something out of it, the amount of compute that you need that is insane. But if they're thinking about something like that, I find that completely wild. I wonder how long that would take, but it is kind of an ultimate need of massive amount of compute, right? So overall, everything we're hearing here is a lot of strong bullish case for the AI market. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I do have some other videos here that if you want to learn my thoughts on overall Google or AMD, feel free and take care and see you all next time.